Hi, everyone. So one more thing here is that today is going to be our last lecture. And before we move into like talking about what we're going to do today and what are the things that we're going to learn, the last step, I wanted all of you guys to scan this QR code and see what are the questions that different VC firms like Y Combinator, and this is for Miracle Plus, but it's kind of like similar. What are the questions that you usually ask? So I can, if you guys have created an account, then what are the questions that you guys will be able to see are, so let's say I got into this platform and this is for the fall 2025 application. So if you apply now, then maybe around August or September, you'll be able to be a part of this whole cohort where they're going to invest $300,000 for 7% of your startup. And then you'll go through the same like YC style mentoring and funds and providing offices space and everything. So first question that they asked is project name. Obviously, you're going to put your startup name. Let's say, for example, I just put ours, comesh.ai. And if you have a demo, that's why I asked all of you guys why demo is really important, even though they made it optional. But the chances, if you are if you have a demo and if you're putting your demo here, it increases your chances a lot because I've worked there. I know the culture. I know how they make investment decisions. I mean, not everything, but yeah. So that's why demo is really important for any cases where when you are applying to get funds. You can also upload a video if you have like a video made of like showing your platform demo and also describing what it is. It's kind of like a short pitch, maybe like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. And then describe your project in 50 characters. It's characters, not words. So this is what I mentioned. This is like the one-liner for all of you guys. So if I talk about co-match AI Tinder to find co-founders, you'll also have to find that one-liner for all of your startup. What is the one-liner that kind of like gives a description, like short description or like overview of the thing that you're trying to do so that people can understand and they can match with a different context. For example, everyone knows Tinder and most of the people. So I'm just using that word to give an example. It's like, okay, this is the similar kind of thing, but it's for to finding co-founders, not to find dates. So then you talk about what's your project going to make. This is where you're going to say, maybe if you're a software company, which you are, most of you, what are the things that you're making? What are the solution that you're bringing? And then which city will be based in the next 20 years? Like where you want to make your headquarters? Is it Beijing, Singapore, San Francisco? Like what other stuff? So yeah, you don't have to be specific because if you're not sure about that, you don't have to answer these questions because it's optional. But what is your current stage of the main funder? Like which part you are, like undergraduate, master's, PhD, or pending employment, or full-time entrepreneur. Like you can just put any options here. Then here's the thing. You'll have to record a 1 minute introduction video of yourself and your co-founders together. I think you guys have seen some of the YC founders introduction where they're introducing, hey, we are this and that. Here in this 1 minute video, you don't have to talk about anything about your project. You just show yourself who you are and talk about probably a little bit of your background and your co-founders, like, hey, I'm here, I am this, and I worked here. Maybe I worked at Google, or I have this experience in this field. It's just to show that how much you're committed. You can say that, okay, we are really committed into working in this, and we're looking forward. And thank you for your consideration for our application. Like simple. If you search like YC introduction video, you'll find a lot of examples, and you can find inspiration from there. Then how long have the founder known each other? So this is one another crucial part. So if you don't have a co-founder, you can just mention I don't have any official co-founders yet, or just I don't have any co-founders. That's it. But if you have one, then you'll have to mention that, okay, I have known this person for this years, um, and we are working in person or remotely or whatever. Just mention that part. And then obviously then you'll mention your, like the first of all, the main founder, their email, country code, phone, date of birth, a lot of things, educational background, work experience. And this is a crucial question. Please tell us about the time you most successfully hacked some non-computer system to your advantage. What does it mean is that um, is there any situation in your life where things were against you? There were a lot of odds and challenges, but you kind of uh, use the system or use your own techniques to to your advantage and solve the problem. So you can tell a story like that, or a scenario like that. They want to see your patience, your courage, and how do you solve problems, like those kind of things. Please, then you have to, if you go to the next question, please tell us in 1 or 2 sentences about the most impressive thing other than this project that you have built or achieved. So if you have built any project beforehand, or if you had any great accomplishment here, you can mention about that. Then what is the biggest setback or challenge you have ever encountered in your life? Same. You guys know better what you have done. Everyone has their personal story. So, but this one, I think this application is for the main founder. He's going to apply. Other co-founders, I think they are going to be asked about all of these things again, maybe when they get an interview, in-person interview. So going to the interview round is really hard because it's uh, if I give you a number, so I don't know if you can see my T-shirt. So there's a number here, 5,000, like 50 out of 5,000. So this is one of the goal that Miracle Plus had when I was working there. So they chose only 50 startups out of 5,000 applications. So you can see what are the competitions there. So it's a huge competition. So that's why they want to like check everything of you, and they want to know you as a person more than a founder as well. Then what is the hobby or interest that sets you apart from others? These are optional, but I would highly encourage all of you to fill everything. Don't keep anything optionals. Um, Try to fill it out. That shows like, okay, no, you want to let them know yourself about better or not. Then are you a technical founder? Yes, if you have a technical background or you have learned about those stuff. Yes, no, that's also all right. And then the question they ask, will you come to Beijing to participate in the office hours and events hosted by Miracle Plus September through November if they fund you? Obviously, you're gonna say yes because if you can't go there, I don't think they usually fund if you can't go in person. But obviously, if you get $300,000 as a fund, why not? Why not go there? Then please describe the progress of your project. So that's why I constantly ask you guys to keep improving, keep making progress. Especially like they're gonna ask what is the progress for the last 3 months. So imagine if all of you guys after this SGA cohort 2, you stop working on your startup or your project. Then let's say you're applying here maybe in the next 2-3 months. Then what are you gonna say? What is the achievement for the next 3 months? So that's why you have to constantly keep working on this thing as long as uh, you feel motivated and everything. But even if you don't feel motivated, if you're passionate about this idea, just keep making improvements, and then at some point you'll be able to raise funds. Because once you keep making progress, and especially nowadays there's a thing, build in public. So if you're building in public, you're showing updates to the people on internet, then someone will notice and they'll reach out to you. So this is not like a rocket science. It's just you'll have to keep patience and keep working on your stuff. There are even startups that took like 10 years to raise funds. So be really patient about that and keep working. How long have each of you been working on this? How much of this has been full time? Please explain. So this is kind of like similar question of like, I think I asked some of you when during interview, if I give you $300,000, would you like let everything go and work on this full time or not? So it's kind of like that, but it's a different way. So that question will be asked maybe when they're interviewing you. But here you will have to mainly mention about um, how long have you been working, and maybe the founder has been working from the very beginning, but the co-founder joined a little bit later. And please explain what were your roles and how did you work and all this stuff. So this application can take a little bit of time, and which it should, because you have to mention all the things. And if you need any support at any point, you can contact them directly through here. They have email, support email, or like you can do FAQ. Then what tech stack are you using or planning to use to build this product? So usually here is like, maybe if you're using some programming languages, you could say, oh, I'm using React, I'm using Java, I'm using Python, or even if you're using vibe coding tools, you can mention, oh, we are using Lovable, or we are using Cursor. But by the way, I don't know if you guys are always updated about the news online, especially AI news. GPT-5 has been launched, and it's way better than anything else. Now you don't even have to go to a different tool like Lovable or Base 44 to build an app. You can build that inside ChatGPT. So if you have a subscription of ChatGPT or even free tier, but it's like limited, you can just give the same prompt, like same way, and it's gonna give you the code. It's gonna give you the whole website or app that you're trying to build. So you guys can check it out, or you guys can go to YouTube and see the OpenAI GPT-5 launch, and you'll be able to see what are the new updates and how much it has improved. It's amazing, and I posted a tweet yesterday, and also in my Instagram, that GPT-5 just killed all the vibe coding tools, and it's not yet perfect. I mean, no other tool is perfect, but it's performing way better. Then what's the question you spend most time thinking about in the past month? So you can see they're trying to know your psychology. What are the things that you're thinking about? What are the things that's bothering you or you're looking forward to? So yeah. If you have applied previously with the same idea, how much progress have you made since the last time you applied? Anything changed? So it's really common for startups to not get fund and the very first time they're applying, especially if that's not really like innovative, like industry changing startup. You can get like funds at the first time, but imagine you are in a really competitive area, then you have to show your performance. Like, hey, we have constantly strived for it. We have applied previously, and since then we have made this kind of improvement and progress. And if you can show quite a good amount of progress, maybe in second time you'll get funds. There are even companies who applied to YC 3, 4, 5 times, and then at the end they got they got the fund. So idea, which group of people are your users? What problems do you solve for users? Why did you choose this idea for your project? Where did this idea come from? Here you can give a background story of like, how did this idea came and why did you want to pursue this idea? Everything. What's new about what you're making? What substitutes do people resort to because it doesn't exist yet? Uh, Here you can talk about if there are any competitors or not that people use, but that doesn't really solve their problem. And what are the new things that you're making? Is it like the same thing that all the other startups are doing, or what are the key things that you're solving? And what do you understand about your business that other companies in it that just don't get it? Why it's like why you are the right person to build this thing? Why not someone else can do it? How will this project make money? This is like the business model. How much money can you make? This is like the financial projection. So I think all the things I mentioned, I asked all of you guys to include in the slides and everything, but you also have to know the numbers. Why do you think this is the right time for you to start the business? Why now? As I mentioned before as well, why now is the right time? And then the last few questions are like, have you incorporated or formally any legal entity like LLC? I think most of you haven't, but if you guys have already established a company in Beijing and in China or in some other places, you can mention about that. And please describe the breakdown of the equity ownership in percentages among the founders, employees, and other stakeholders. So here, before you go into applying here, you'll have to talk with your team and do that kind of like vesting process of like who gets what percent of equity and how they're gonna get it. I mentioned about the cliff mechanism, like for the first 1 year, none of you are gonna get an equity, but if you stay with the startup for 4 years, then eventually you're gonna get the equity. So yeah. Has your startup raised funds yet? I guess most of you haven't. So no, we haven't raised any fund. List any investments your project received. I don't think most of you have received any funds. So yeah. I think you can also like let go of this other part. Like if you have any other ideas, consider applying with this list item, which I mean, if you are applying with a project, you wouldn't want to mention about other projects because maybe then it shows, okay, you are not really sure about your own idea. So you don't have to apply this one. Uh, and then obviously you can mention about this, what is the most interesting book or paper you have read in the past, and would you recommend it, and why would you recommend it? Please tell us something surprising or amusing that one of you has discovered. Maybe you or your co-founders. If you could invest in two people you could know, who would it be, please? And why? Please give a brief disclosure. It's like they're asking kind of like for referrals. So if you know any other entrepreneurs who also have their startup and maybe they are not applying for funds, but maybe you know about them, so you can mention about that here. So maybe they will reach out to them or see what are the things they have. Maybe they're gonna just send an email like, "Hey, apply to Miracle Plus" or something like that. Not actively reaching out and having meeting and something like that. So yeah, and then how did you hear about it? You can talk about Miracle Plus alumni who was previously there, or you can say institutions, friends. Yeah, you can mention anything, or you can even, if you want, you can even put my name, but I don't recommend that. It's all of you, or you can just completely keep it blank, however you want. Um, and then lastly, would you like to apply for compute resources like GPUs provided by Miracle Plus? So if you're doing something like hardware related, or even if it's like software related and you need to train your own AI model, then you can mention, yes, I would need some GPUs because GPUs are really expensive. And in China, there are a lot of restrictions. So maybe, and also it's like expensive. I think one single GPU may be like $30,000 or even more than that sometimes. And the advanced one can go up to $1 million. So yeah, you can mention about that if you need it. But if you don't need it, and if you put it here, then you're gonna be in trouble. So if you really, really don't need it, just don't put it. I don't think most of you don't need it. I think most of it, so just put no. So yeah, this is how the most of the applications look like. If I had time, I would also show you YC's. Maybe on Sunday, I'll show you how the YC's application look like. But it's gonna be kind of similar. It's just idea. It's just a way to give you an idea of like how things work. So yeah, now let's get back to your lecture. I hope you guys can understand. So do you guys have any questions on the application page? Okay. Google said yes. So yeah, I think in our group chat, David asked me a question, which is like if we have class tomorrow or not. So tomorrow we don't have class, we have activity. So remember we had our first activity, which was like MVP building. I showed you guys how to build an MVP with AI something. But tomorrow it's gonna be mostly about your pitch and give, feedback and all the other stuff that you need to focus on before the demo day and work on. So it's gonna be like that. It's not gonna take a lot of time. We're gonna probably start at 11 and finish at 1. It's gonna be probably 2 hours. So yeah. And also today from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. we're gonna have what the pitch kind of refining activity. So that's like a short activity, but yeah. So yeah. Now let's yeah, sure.
For the last question, the GPU, how we will know that we need it or not?
I mean, the thing is, if you have a AI model inside of your startup, let's say you are trying to build a startup where you need to have like a chatbot or like a specialized AI agent, and you're taking an open source model from Meta's Llama, or like you're getting API from OpenAI or Claude, and you need to fine tune it. Like you need to train it in your own way. You need to give it your own information and a lot of other things that maybe are not available in the web. So that's where you need GPUs to train those models. None of you, I think, know about it. I mean, none of you need it. I think maybe Davide, they're doing Infinity AI, so their project might need it, but I think that's also not really relevant because they can just use API and just put it there, because there's nothing new thing that ChatGPT doesn't know about. So yeah, just put no, because GPUs, especially if you're doing something like hardware or like a new software technology that haven't existed before, then I think you can ask for GPUs. But other than that, you don't need GPUs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so today we're going to talk about mainly company operations and our preparation day for demo day. The preparation day for demo day is going to be really short, which is going to be a later part of the day. But in this lecture, we're mainly going to talk about the company operations. So let's say you have built your startup. Maybe you also have funded your startup. How do you manage the company, and what are the best ways to do that? How do you make sure that your startup doesn't die? So all the things we're going to talk about today. But before that, let's give a quick overview. I think some of you couldn't be in our last lecture, and we didn't also have a recording. So we talked about fundraising, equity financing. So you can get financing from three F's, which is like friend, family, fool, and seed and angel, VC, and private equity. You can raise funds from here. You can also do bootstrapping, use your own fund, or like profit from some consulting or outsourcing. Or you can also get some government grant, or like win some competitions, do crowdfunding, or use some platforms like MicroConnect, or even loans. I recommended not to use loans uh, because there's a lot of uncertainty going on with this one. But if there's like really good loan plans in your own country that doesn't have interest, or like really low interest, maybe 1%, 2%, something like that, which is like startup friendly, or the loan is called startup loan, something like that, maybe you can try that out. And preparing for your own startup is like knowing yourself and your customer and the business in and out. You'll have to know everything, every number, every details about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and then do planning. Then pitch, like business model, how to do your business proposal, how to pitch. We have done a lot of work on this one, and in the next 2 days, we're also gonna work a lot on this one. Then we talked about engaging with investors, like investor relations, how to connect with them. So find, contact, meeting, deal negotiation. We talked a lot about it. If you go through the slides, you'll be able to see more information about that. And asked, as I mentioned, there was a one quote I mentioned. If you ask for money to investors, you get nothing. But if you ask for advice, you might get money. So that's why building a really close contact with those kind of people who are in that industry. Maybe you don't know that they are investors or something, but having a close relationship, they can introduce you to some other investors. So having those kind of close knit connections can sometimes open doors for you. Then fundraising document, term sheet, share purchase agreement, all of these things. If you are raising fund, maybe you will be asked about it after interview and everything. You can you can go into the appendix page of the previous lecture, and then you'll be able to see how a term sheet looks like. Or even you can ask online to GPT or something like what is term sheet and how does it work and everything. Even though I explained what is term sheet, and then building investor relationships about. You'll have to understand what are the expectations and go into that investor network and, as I mentioned, manage relationships. So I want to ask really crucial question to all of you guys, and not that seriously, but how many of you here want to start a startup because you want to earn a lot of money? Yeah, just open up your camera, your microphone, and just say it's just completely fine. You can also say, oh yeah, there's no shame in it. Like not, I mean, you have seen maybe from your childhood that a lot of your friends, even you, might have said, oh, I want to be a doctor. Why? Oh, I want to treat people in the village. I want to go. But when they become a doctor, they go to the big hospitals. They charge a lot of money. So it's just everything comes down to this place. But if you have that goal, that passion, that's also all right. But yeah. How many of you are driven in that way? Like, oh no, I want to do a startup because I want to earn a lot of money and everything.
Can we say our like not like something else, not only money?
I mean, I'm just asking a yes or no question. Are you doing this startup to be able to like ask a lot of like get a lot of money? Obviously, there are a lot of other underlying uh, reasons like you can talk about. Like, okay, yeah, I also want to do this because I want to solve this problem, that problem. But what is the top one reason that you want to do this one?
Well, for me, it wasn't the money. When I was in China, I got a lot of calls from friends to help them to do business, and some of them like they got upset because like I couldn't help them. So it was annoying. So that's why I'm trying to solve this problem for them so that they can depend on it, not on one person only. So this is the main idea I came up with.
Okay, I see. Anyone else who wants to say whether their what is the top priority? Is their top priority is money or not? Yeah, Lisa.
Oh my in mind. So, I'm interested in freedom of, creation and, to create something yours and to be able to manage yourself. And because when you work for someone, you cannot just actually change the things. You have to, and there is more about the game. Sometimes in the offices, for example, in a big corporations, there's many things related not to that to make something great or do the product, but about their games between people and so on. I don't like it, and I like to make a friendly and good environment, and I like to change the world in my colors, and I want to feel this freedom very much. I mean, maybe it will. I hope that it will bring the money which I can rely on and live for this money. This is would be great because it's kind of hard to work somewhere and just try to have your own startup, but it's really great to have your idea, to work on yourself, to earn money from this. And if it would bring good money to cover the things I really used to have in my life and I really wanted to have in my life, the more money is better. And one more important thing, if you want to be rich one day, this is not the road to be rich, to work for someone, because every job has its limit. But if you on this road, maybe if you will be successful one day, you can achieve that, or maybe not, no one knows. So this is a big challenge as well.
Okay. Yeah. Good to hear from you as well. Yeah, so I'll move forward. So even if it's like money game, it's completely fine. There has been a lot of founders who wanted to like earn a quick money. That's why they started a really small idea, and then they realized how big this can be, how big this market can be, and then later they capitalized on that, and then they found their mission, vision, and value, and it became the value-driven startup. So no matter where you are asking for money from your startup, or uh, you are doing it for as a value driven startup, what is the amount of progress? You can ask yourself, what is the progress that I made towards this goal? So Lisa mentioned about your goal, then Ruina, like Zainab mentioned about your goal as well, like you want to help your friend to start a business. So you can think from the moment you thought about this thought till today, how much of that progress that you were able to make, and are you proud of that progress? And could you make more progress of that? So it's really a crucial question. I'm not gonna like ask you right away, but you'll have to think about it yourself. That if you are driven by that, either money or either other value, how much of progress you were able to make. We're going to move into talking about your daily operations. So if you are building a startup, and obviously you'll have daily operations, how does your team perform every single day? How do you move forward when you're raising money or you haven't raised money? So first of all, the first goal for all of you guys to find it is PMF, product market fit. So when you are moving with your startup, it's really crucial to find this product market fit, which is like, is your product good enough for the market, or is there a really good demand for this or not? And how does this work when you see that when people are paying for your service or your product, even though they'd say, okay, it's really highly priced, or where's the need? So people would talk a lot of bullshit, but still they're gonna use your service. So if that's the case, then you can think about, okay, you found product market fit because this market needs my product or my service. Then recruiting, fundraising. I'm gonna go in more into details about that in the upcoming playlist or upcoming pages. one more thing you need to keep in mind while you're going through this journey is be an evangelist. So what means evangelist? So evangelist is like someone who goes to some people and tries to make them believe in their own faith. So how this works for entrepreneurs is that you'll have to be an evangelist to go to anyone who's around you and convince them with the idea that you have. So, because why it works? Because eventually you'll have to convince the investors to invest in you. So you'll have to pitch everywhere, your employees, your friends, your partners, media customers, everyone, to see how they react. And every time when you do that, you can see their reaction. You can get feedback from them, and that's how more and more the power of your convincing power will get better and better. So just go for that, and always keep elevator pitch ready. Like within 30 seconds, how can you introduce your startup and talk about what you're doing so that even like 5-year-old can understand? And then managing the team, and most importantly, saying a lot of no's to a lot of different things. So then after you do company establishment, where do you want to do it? First of all, you'll have to think about choosing location. You can go to Silicon Valley, like San Francisco, California. You can go to Beijing, Bangalore in India, etc. Or the place you are familiar with a global perspective. Let's say your hometown or your own city, your own country. Whichever works best for you and what is your target market. Maybe you want to make a product that's for everyone in the world, but you'll have to choose from a place where you can grow the most. And you know the culture, you know the how things work, how the policy works, because it's not only about, okay, I'm probably gonna be I'm probably gonna go to US, San Francisco, because there are a lot of founders, and then I can do that. But maybe you don't know all the cultures there really well. Maybe you are not fit with the culture yet, but maybe going back to your hometown or maybe a different country where it provides more value to you, you know everything about that. That can give you better perspective, because then once you capture the local market, then you can go global and you can make, and then later, obviously, whenever you want, you can shift your headquarters to some other places. So if you look at the data, among the 254 YC companies that have been acquired or gone public, over 77.17% have their headquarters in Silicon Valley. This is about YC because YC is in Silicon Valley, and whenever you get into that, you go to Silicon Valley, you stay there for like 2, 3, 4 months, and then you raise funds. And if you raise funds, you incorporate your company there. That's why the number is big. But for other startup incubators, accelerators, if you look into China, Miracle Plus, most of their companies are usually in Beijing, Shenzhen, or Shanghai. So if you look at in China, of 2 billion valued company, 80% are in Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Hangzhou, and Guangzhou, as I mentioned. So the company establishment can be a really crucial decision for you. If you're currently in China, you can think about it and think about the perspective of like whether the things that you're trying to build fit with the Chinese culture and the demand of this market or not. If you're building a really, really amazing idea, but there's no real demand in China, or maybe people have other alternatives here, maybe you'll have to find a better market. It's not that your idea is not good, maybe the market is not good. So yeah, Lisa, you have a question.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot about Silicon Valley, and I'm curious, is there a way to go to Silicon Valley to launch your company there? Because I know that it's like kind of famous place, but how do people go there? How do people do it? Is there some maybe competitions online to apply your project to be accepted, get some visa and go Silicon Valley, or how is it?
So usually, if you look into Silicon Valley, so most of the startups that are funded there, maybe people who are already, most of them, I would say 90% or more than 90%, who are already in the US, maybe they're international student there, they're university student there, they already have a student visa or something, and they apply to Silicon Valley, or maybe they're American citizens, they apply there. Or also people who are outside of there, they can go there once they apply to something like YC, or maybe there are also other VC firms where you can apply, where if you apply there, they'll provide you funds, and then maybe they will require you to establish a company in the US, and then they'll probably sponsor your visa, and then you can go. The first thing that you'll have to do is that get accepted by one of those programs, or raise some funds from those private equity or some VC firms, and then you can move forward into going there. It's or other way is to do that is that maybe you go there in purpose of like study or something, and beside your studies you are building a startup. That's the most common way that founders follow. Like probably they're going for undergraduate or graduate program, and they're besides studies they're building a startup. And then once they're done with the studies, all the policies and everything, maybe they have raised funds, and then they can extend their visa as an entrepreneur, because as an entrepreneur it's really easy to go through the visa than some general citizen. So yeah, that's how the process works. That's why I ask all of you, if you want to go to that place, obviously you'll have to raise funds from some of the VC firms there. And your target market.
I mean,
yeah.
The programs like we discussed, Miracle Plus, or this kind of programs, the first step, right? To get some fund from this one. Okay.
Yeah, this kind of help. Yeah. Then there are also other places where you can establish a company for different purposes. For example, Cayman Island. They gave a lot of tax benefits and privacy protection. In China, there are a lot of market potential, but also there are regulatory framework. Yeah, there are a lot of regulations that you'll have to go through. In Hong Kong, it's international financial center and business hub. So if you're if you're building something that is related to finance or accounting, then maybe Hong Kong might be a better place for you. Singapore, this is one of the world's most transparent and efficient government. So if you go there, you don't have to go through really hidden policies and everything, give your data away and everything. No kind of problem in there. And then United States, obviously, as I mentioned, diverse market. It's not only about Silicon Valley. If you can go to other cities like Florida, Delaware, and then maybe one of the VC firm is established there, and they require you to establish your startup there, which unlikely, like not all of those VC firms ask you to establish a company in the US, because it depends, as I mentioned, depends on your target market. If your target market is Latin America, then probably they're going to ask you to go to someplace there. If your target market is in Europe, they're probably going to ask you to like establish somewhere there. Or if it's like your own country, or that kind of like connects your own country with some other country, they're probably going to say, yeah, please establish your company to your own country, because that's the best for the startup. Then if you look into like incorporating in China, there's a program called Pudong Global Talent Partner Program, GTP, where foreigners can be legal representatives of public institutions and state-owned enterprises. And like especially foreign scientists with permanent residency can lead national science projects and serve as legal representative. And then it can also issue work permits based on talent needs and industrial demands. So this is like if you're really into industry that can be transforming, then the China government also provides support for that. Now, let's talk about product market fit. I mentioned at the very beginning what is product market fit. But let me talk about early indicator of product market fit. The simple user question that you can think about is that if you could no longer use this product, how disappointed you would be. So you can ask this question to your initial users who are testing it out, or maybe after you launch, it's like you fully launched and then people are using your product. You can ask this simple question. And then if you see that over 40% of your users would be very disappointed without your product, not being in the market, you have an early product market fit indicator. But if it's like most people would say, oh, somewhat disappointed, which most of the time people tries to be politically correct. So they're gonna say, okay, yeah, somewhat disappointed, but somewhat disappointed sometimes mean it's like not really disappointed. If they're like, oh no, I'm very disappointed, that means, and if it's like more than 40%, you have a product market fit. But if they mention that not disappointed, that means there's something wrong with your product. Maybe you'll have to change some things that is within your product. Maybe you have to change the market or something like that. Things will have to be changed. And you need to ask these questions month after month for your user, as long as you don't get the number over 40%. 40% is the least, but usually it's 50%, 60%. Then let's talk about the recruitment and team motivation part. So in the early stages, the early team shapes the culture and the culture dilutes with growth. So I would suggest that delay hiring professional manager or executives initially, establish a culture first. Company culture, you'll hear a lot about it, even if you're working in a company, if you had internship or something, you'll hear how much a company values its culture. That's why at first you'll have to create a culture of how you move, what is the motto behind your growth, and how you want to see your company in the next 10, 20, 30 years. You'll have to that goal so that all the team know about it and they're also motivated with that. So if you look into YC founders, they usually regret delaying executive hires. Why? Because most of the YC startups kind of like go into the mature stage and then they try to hire. But premature executive hire, like if you haven't raised any money or anything, at that time, if you do that, it can disrupt the culture. What I mean by professional culture is like you'll have to pay someone to like manage this stuff, manage accounts, manage financials, or maybe operations, something like that. Then one key thing you need to really keep in mind is that a company becomes the people it hires. So your company will shape by its people, not its plans. You might have a really great plan, you might have a really big vision, but if the people are not seeing the same goal and vision, the whole structure might change. So put a united team above rigid strategies. You will have a lot of strategies, a lot of the ideas will come from employees as well, but always put that team above all of the strategies. Prioritize them. Then embrace diversity in skills and expertise for flexible problem solving, because strong team means strong business. Then in terms of recruitment, avoid hiring early on. So if you must hire the best. Because if you look at this, look at the examples, Airbnb took 5 months to interview their first employee. So if you're thinking right after raising funds, okay, no, now it's time for me to like get some employees and get freedom, and I'll give my all work to someone else, you are in the wrong path. You'll have to work hard enough for the next few years, establish that. Then you can talk about, okay, now probably I need to take a break. There are even founders who haven't taken break in their entire life. I mean, you can look at the work results as well. I think most of you know about the Elon Musk's work ethic. He slept at the office. He worked 80 hours, 120 hours per week. So this is how a life of an entrepreneur would be. That's why at first I asked, are you building a startup with the money motivation or not? Because if those are the motivation, then after you raise money or after you have gained a little bit of first initial movement, then you'll probably try to delegate your work to someone else, which most of the time kills the company. Because no one knows a company better than their founders, and no one would be able to, and nor should be, no one should be able to work better than you. Always founders will have to be the most skilled person at the very beginning. So spend about 25% of your time on hiring. And you might be wondering, like, well, 25% is a lot of time. We sometimes think about hiring is not that time consuming, but you should spend more time into getting the best people in that industry. Set KPIs for your hiring team, identify and schedule interviews with 5 to 20 talents each week. Prioritize candidates known to you or your team. If you know a candidate better than a candidate that you don't have any information about, look forward to that. Because great tech companies often build their first 100+ employees through personal referrals. Maybe you know someone who has great skills in that industry. They have these skills, that skills. That can help you to move forward, because with the personal connections, you can save money, and also you can find the people that are motivated as you to work on the thing that you're working on. So when hiring, consider 3 things. Are they smart? Can they get things done? Do I want to spend a lot of time with them? If you are only hiring employees thinking about, okay, they're just going to be employee, they're just going to work on their stuff and go back home. No. In the first initial employees, at least first 100 employees, should be the ones that you would feel really happy to go out with, share your thoughts, share your ideas, hear about their life. If you can create that culture, that is the right hire. So a lot of the times it's even more important to hire someone that fits with the culture than to hire someone who's the smartest person in the world. Obviously, you need smartness to solve problems, but if the only thing that know about is like solving problems, but they're not fitting with the culture, then after some time themselves, they will quit. You can give employees 2 options. And those who choose more equity will be good hires. So you can give the options like higher salary, low equity in your company, or you can give high equity, low salary. So whenever someone, when you give this option, the people who will choose high equity low salary, you can see their commitment, because they don't only value the money, they value the long-term goal and the vision of your company. Because if they work hard, and if they can take your company, your startup to the next level, their equity is gonna double, triple, 10 times or 100 times of its value. It will be risen to its most important value, something like that. So that's why this is a really important part that you can ask. And a lot of you might be wondering, do I need to give equity to my employees? Here, what I'm talking about, if you look into companies like NVIDIA, Google, and everything, they are in the stock market. But even now, if you join Google or NVIDIA, they will give you stock options. They will give you equity. So don't be afraid of sharing equity. I'm not asking, okay, give them 10, 20% of your company. It can be like 0.5%, 1%, especially the initial hires, initially 10, 20 people. Here you will give the options. But then later, if you're hiring people and at that time maybe your company is in the stock market, you can give them stock options, because the value of stock dilutes, and then you can create more shares and more everything. So that's not a problem. Additionally, ideal employees should have good communication skills, be extremely determined of the things that they're working on, and be someone you'd be willing to report to. What I mean by that is that imagine you are solving some problems as a founders, maybe your CEO, CFO, or CMO, whatever, and then you want to get advice from this person. You want to let them know, hey, I have done this thing. What do you think about it? But if you are reserved, you'll have to trust your gut feeling, which most of the time can turn out to be wrong. That's why I mentioned about having some initial employees that you can go out with, that you can share your opinions with, because they can give you the honest feedback. So creating a culture of honest feedback, no matter how brutal it is, it's gonna take your company to a long run. So the next thing is you've hired the best. Now keep them. The problem most of the companies face, like they hire a lot of good talents, but they can't keep them. And losing talents is kind of like losing a part of your company, because those people can make it or break it. And that's why you'll see a really big talent war in the AI industry right now. Meta is giving hundreds of millions of dollars to OpenAI employees to go to Meta. They're also paying people from Google AI Cloud to come work for Meta. And they're also fighting in that way, who can give the best salary, because they need talent, because they're going to drive the company. Initially, when you're starting out, you and your co-founders are the driving force, but once you establish your company, the employees, the initial hires are the persons who are the driving force. You will always regret hiring a mediocre person, because one mediocre employee among the first 5 can ruin the company. So initially, when you're like, maybe you're a solo founder, or maybe you have 2 or 3 other co-founders, and you need a founding engineer, you need someone who's expert in the AI industry. So if you're hiring a mediocre person for that one, like obviously when you're hiring in the initial stage, you'll also give equity. Those people, if they're not smart enough, if they're not good at what they're doing, that can ruin your company. So ask yourself for each hire, would I bet the company's future on this person? If the answer is yes, you're in the right path. Because these people, if they're skilled enough, you know that even if the whole thing crashes, this person will be able to take it back up and then move forward. What if we don't match? Like, a lot of the times, these questions are asked of like, what if I don't find the right talent? I'm not being able to find the right person, because to be honest, it's really hard to find the right talent. And especially when you're starting out as a startup company, you might not get the best talent, because if you think from your own perspective also, most of the people wants to get job at the top company, top reputed company, so that they can brag to their colleagues like, hey, I work at Google, I work at Meta, I work here and there, Goldman Sachs. So so that's why it's hard to find the match in the initial stage as employees. But that's where also you have advantage, because you can find people who don't care about their reputation, but who cares about their own growth, and who cares about their future with your own company. That's why you can hire slow but fire fast. This is a really key motto that you'll have to have. A lot of the time, you might hire a wrong person, but if you feel guilty, or maybe how am I gonna hire, what's gonna happen, you'll have to create a system of like firing people fast as well. And don't, because when you're in a company, it's, you might feel emotional of like, okay, they're gonna feel bad or something like that. But in reality, if you wanna prioritize, do you wanna prioritize your own company or their feelings first? So keep that motto. It sounds brutal, but if you go into startup companies, like the most successful startups, you'll see this culture. They are hiring brutal. They're hiring really slow, but firing really brutally. They're just gonna, you won't even have any idea. Maybe tomorrow you come to work, you see like a firing letter in your own desk, like, hey, you're laid off. That's how it works, really fast. Let's talk about a little bit about the team culture. If in the team you have the right behavior, your team has the right behavior, and then you have a good business. Be proud of the problem being solved by you, by your team. If your team is doing that, give them that praise that they deserve. Don't try to take their work as your own. Like, if an employee has solved a problem, oh yeah, I was thinking about that, I solved this problem. Don't try to take their own credit. Try to motivate them as much as possible. Even sometimes, if you have paid the biggest role in solving a problem, try to give credits to your employees or to your founding members. That can create a culture so that whenever they're also doing some work, they will prioritize your opinions as well. Create a vision that inspires others for the long term. Define values and behaviors to ensure you hire culture fit candidates, I mentioned already, and encourage a diversity of opinions and backgrounds. So there's a difference. I don't know if you guys know about it. There's a difference between being a boss and being a leader. So you'll have to ask yourself, am I a boss or am I a leader? A boss is the first one who always speaks first, who always makes decisions, who always like kind of like, okay, do this, do that, ordering. But a leader is someone who speaks the last, who gives value to their employees' opinions, who cares about every single opinion and then tries to analyze them and make decisions based on that, who cares about their employees' personal life as well and help them to grow, not only grow the company, but help them to grow personally. So if you're a startup founder, you'll have to be the leader. Encourage a diversity of opinions and backgrounds. So let's move into execution part. Let's say you have done all these things, you have made your culture, you found team members, you're hiring with the right strategy. Now it's time for execution. Two questions that you can ask yourself. can you figure out what to do, and can you get it done? So there comes a stage where maybe you're thinking about, okay, all of the things that I had in my mind, I wanted to have this feature, that feature, I want to make it work like that. It's now all in front of me. What's next? Can you figure out what is the best thing to do? And I mentioned about it, the right way to find about it is go to your customers, know about their pain points, get feedback from them, and based on their feedback, build it. Once they give you the feedback, that question you'll have to ask, can you get it done? How fast can you get it done? And how you can get it done. So having those discussions with your founding team members, with your employees are really crucial. So one key thing you need to keep in mind is that also some concentration, like you have to put concentration into some specific things. For example, what are you spending time and money on? So what are you spending most amount of time? Are you spending most of amount of time just trying to build new features, or trying to make the best user experience for your customers? And where are you spending the money on? You'll have to have all the data ready. What are the 2 or 3 most important things that will make your startup survive? Say no. A lot. Like 97% of the time. What I mean by saying no, maybe you'll have like amazing ideas in your mind. Okay, if I implement this one, maybe it will be a great part. If I do this and that. So a lot of times you'll have to say no to yourself, and also to say no to a lot of other external factors. Maybe some people would come and try to give you a deal, like, hey, if you do this, you'll have a profit and this and that. But always you'll have to put your company first, rather than your own values. What I mean by your own values is like, maybe if you do this deal, maybe you'll become a millionaire, billionaire, but your company is gonna die. So if you want to play long term, you'll have to think in that way and say no a lot. Set overarching goals and repeat them. If you set a goal, achieve them, dream bigger, set bigger goals, and keep repeating them, repeating them. There's no scope of your company to say, oh, I think we have reached to the peak. I don't think we have any more things to do. We have done everything in the industry. If that's where you go to, maybe it's the start of the falling apart of your startup. So always set goals, repeat them, keep moving forward. And then communicate your goals, communicate what you want, how do you see the vision and everything. Maintain growth and momentum. Maintaining growth is really crucial. You'll have to see how much you're growing yearly, monthly, weekly. And are you being able to keep the momentum with the team or not? Are your team being getting lazy, or you as a founder, are you getting lazy? Are you trying to like give this work to someone else? Oh, I'm just too tired. I have been working so hard. I need to take a vacation to do this and do that. If you feel at a certain point that you're going through that kind of mindset for weeks or months, it's not a good sign. So you'll have to always keep reminding yourself of like, what's the future of your company, and then work together in person. I know nowadays a lot of the people prefers, oh, I think working remotely is better. You have more freedom and everything, but nothing can beat working together in person. That's why you will see a lot of US companies now, they are laying off all the workers who are remote. They prefer in person, because in person you can communicate with the team. You can see how the person works, how the work ethic. You can celebrate together. You can solve a problem together, and nothing can beat about this, like being online. Now I'm teaching all of you guys online, but if it was in person, I could see what are your expressions. That's why a lot of the times I say, open up your camera so that I can see if you're being able to understand or not, if you're feeling right about some information or not, and ask you questions to a specific person. I could interact with all of you one by one and give you feedback right there. So this is the thing, same for the company or startup. When you work in person, it's way better than working remotely. The most important metric to judge a founder is every time we talk with the best founders, they always have new achievements to share. That's why sometimes when I talk with you guys in our group chat as well, or one-on-one. I had meeting with some of you in the last week. I asked all of you the same question. What progress have you made since past 2 weeks of our SGA hackathon? And yeah, I've seen a lot of different responses, but this is what we look for, and this is what that defines you as a founder. Are you trying to make new achievements every single time to share? Even if it's like the smallest one. Okay, I have made improvements here. I have talked with this customer. I have acquired 10 more customers. I have done this. I have done that. No matter it's like 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, every single day they are striving for something new. So as you're moving forward from now on, every single day, try to have one single win for your startup. Whether it's like updating a feature, having a better UI, having a better connection, or like making something good. Like every single day, try to set a short goal that you can achieve and an achievement that you can share. And keep a journal of the things that you're doing. And after 2, 3, 4 years, when you look back, you see the steps that you followed and the progress that you made. You'll be amazed by yourself, because that's how startups and founders are made. Because you'll have to work hard, not just hard, work harder and harder every single day. You'll have to be quick, do whatever it takes to bring it to life. Show up every single day, even when it's the scariest, when it's the cloudiest, when nothing is working for you. You're not being able to raise funds. Your co-founders, you're not matching with your co-founders. Like they have different opinions. You're not being able to like have a good culture. Like no matter what happens, if you are passionate about your idea, you'll have to show up. You can be emotional and then, oh, maybe this is not gonna work. Why he's doing that? Why she's doing that? Why no one is willing to give me funds and everything? You can blame the whole world, but you can't change the whole world, but you can change what's within you and what's within your startup. So that's why don't ever give up. Be courageous enough to take a leap forward so that you make sure, even if it's successful startup or not, you get something out of it. You get experience, you get connections, you get like you get some sort of like validation or achievements and learnings. If there's always things to learn from the things that you do, and maybe mistakes from failures. So just be courageous and move forward. And one more thing you can also keep in mind, if there's a point where the company's growth is stopping, that could be the beginning of a company's decline. That's why you'll have to keep striving to keep the growth curve upwards. Because growth can heal everything, no matter if all the things the company inside company things are messed up, you're not being able to hire more people, you're not being able to raise funds. If you have growth, this will heal everything over time. Then set and manage KPIs. This is really important. This is all about numbers. What is KPI? Key performance indicator. Measurable values for business success. The things that you can measure: how much I have done today, how much our team have done, how much customer we were able to acquire, how much we were able to retain. All of those numbers. It should be simple, clear, KPI driven success. KPIs matter because focusing on effort, tracking progress, and making informed decisions will always lead to better growth. And have some real world practice. Everyone knows our key weekly goals and acts on them. So in your company, you'll have to have this practice where you have these weekly goals and everyone is acting on them and you're trying to achieve them as much as possible. Because the best founders repeat these goals often and post them on the walls. Like if you have an office, if you don't have, create like a common workspace, maybe Notion or in some other tools. Post your weekly goals, make everything. I don't know if I could show my account about how we worked in our own startup. Let me just show you an example. So we have made this workspace. So in Notion, we have this our team dashboard. We always post like motivation. Like this is like our key motto: working on a startup idea is always challenging at the beginning, but rewarding at the end. With our vision set in place, let's match the next gen founders who will change the world or industries like us. So this is like our vision and motto. Then we put like background, privacy policy, all the things that we've been working on. Then SWOT analysis, like what is the strength of the things that we're working on? What is the weakness, opportunities, threats? Who are our beta testers? We put all the list of the testers for us. And then we also put like our development notes, like all the backend developments, homepage and everything, our recommendation algorithm. So this is the thing, task tracker. So we put all the tasks like, okay, we had a meeting and group planning, this done, who's responsible for this one, development setup. Anthony was assigned, he was supposed to do the development setup. What is the priority? What is the due date? What is the priority of this work? And what is the task type and description? What is this work about? And what effort level it should take, small, medium, or large? And then build core features in app, front-end design, front-end development of the algorithm. It's in progress, backend development integration, and you can see who are responsible for Zoe, Hao-Yan, Paul, Anthony, like different people have different responsibilities and they work on the task. And there's a due date where by the time they need to solve this one, by the time they need to complete this work. And we also have like attached files of like where they can find the inspiration of the work or where the things, maybe if it's in the GitHub, where they need to upload the code base. So yeah, this is how we keep track of our work. And it gave us a really amazing tool that I don't know if a lot of you are following or not, but it will boost your productivity of a team maybe 100 times more. And during the summer, like even today, Saturday, every Saturday we had mini hackathons. So we would meet with our team for like 4 hours straight. So the whole week, we're not just communicating in our phone, like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do that? We set this work, and then every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., we were open Zoom. We work together. We try to solve problem. And if there's a problem we face, we ask right away in the Zoom. So we are trying to create in-person working environment. Everyone's camera should be open and everyone should talk about where there's progress and what they're working on. And if they face any problem, we just solve it right away together. And during the whole summer, we had the whole progress, and now we're really close to launch. We have even built like an algorithm, which is like the hardest part. We have built our algorithm. We are integrating AI agents, a lot of the things. So keep that kind of work ethic. I'm giving you examples. I'm giving you all my secrets that we follow in your team. I'm not keeping everything gatekeeping, so that you guys can follow the same metrics and move forward with your startup. Because this is the thing that you need to keep in mind. There's a really good quote from Peter Drucker. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. You might think you're making progress in your mind, but if you don't have the number, if you can't measure it, you're not making any progress. It's just in your mind. So in terms of setting KPIs, be clear and specific. Make sure they're measurable, set realistic and relevant goals. Don't set something that is like, okay, we're gonna achieve it in the next 3 months. Set KPIs that is like achievable for the next 1 week or like within 1 month, and try to achieve them. If something is not achieved within the time, why it was not achieved, what are the struggles you face, and try to solve them together with the team. Define a timeline of your startup. Revenue is like a total amount of money brought in. It's just post launch, after you launch it, how much money your users are paying. So you count that. Then uses for like, what are the money that you're spending, like for advertising or social companies, for employees and everything. Then contracts, if you have any contract with enterprise, looking for letters of intent, fee or pay pilots or sign contracts. And if there's milestones like science and biological companies, some need technical milestones and some need technical accomplishment. The metric that you believe greatly impact your startup. So keep a timeline and keep these goals realistic. A simple system to move your KPIs. Write down ideas that may help, rank, and choose a few. you might have a lot of things in your mind. Just put it in a paper, put it in a doc, or if you're using Notion, you can put it there as well, and rank them which are the top 3 priority, and pick the top 1, then 2, 3, and then like that move based on that. Because a lot of times based on your startup, the whole priority might change. Maybe now your priority is to build this feature, but maybe based on your customer feedback, now your priority should be this one. If your KPI doesn't move, be honest. Don't try to sugarcoat like, yeah, we're growing, we're working on this one. Be brutally honest and find out why. Do honest retros, learn and adjust course. If something's not working, go backwards, try doing the right way, and then learn and adjust the course. If it wasn't working, do something different. If it was working, double down. Try to put more effort into that and try to seize that opportunity and move fast. Moving fast is the weapon that you have over your competitors. Yeah, as you mentioned, I think a lot of you are sometimes worried about the competitors, but if you're moving fast enough, you don't even have to think about competitors. They're bullshit. That like those doesn't count. When you're moving into startup, if you always have the fear of that someone else is gonna take what you have, then the core thing that you need to focus on is your own thing and move as fast as possible, update faster, put more work, double down on the improvements. The competitors are gonna die along the way. You can look and you can see now Amazon is the big like big bug, like they are the biggest e-commerce platform in the world. But when they started out, there were hundreds, if not more of them. And they even had to go into lawsuit at some point because someone else were like, because Amazon tried to take over a company and that company put a lawsuit on them. But Amazon never stopped. They doubled down. They always moved so fast that even the new competitors emerged, they couldn't catch up. That's why competition shouldn't bother you. The thing that should bother you is your own KPIs, your own growth, things that you're being able to achieve in your company, in your startup or not. Then comes financial management. But before I move into that, I'll give you guys a 10 minutes break and then we come back with more energy. Maybe you guys have some coffee or something, and then we will discuss about the financial management. Okay, I guess everyone is here. Just one more minute, set everything up and we get started. Can I know who are here? So we have Chris, Go, Ing from Hello German team. We have Zainab, Ibrahim, Delight, Lisa, Suran, and David. Okay. Okay. Let's move into the financial management. So you have now, I think, most of you are, I think, already into a stage where you know the most basic stuff of startup, how it works and everything. Now, a lot of the times when founders can make mistake is managing financials, because when you're raising funds at a time, it's like a lot of money coming into your startup altogether. Let's say $300,000 or $100,000. So managing this thing in the correct way will define your startup's future, like whether you can raise the next round of fund or not. How did you utilize the money? Because when you are moving into after the first round, let's say in your first round you raise $100,000 or less than that or more than that, and then after some time you obviously run out of funds, so you have to raise maybe Series A, Series B. At that time, you'll have to show where did you specifically invested your money. And so that's why it's really crucial, not only for that reason, but also for the survival of a startup. The early stage, there are some early stage pitfalls that startup founders make and later stage pitfalls. First of all, what are the numbers? The number game. How often, low expense? I'm gonna give more details about it. And the later stage pitfalls is like outsourcing, hiring too quickly, raising while low. So pitfall number one, what are the numbers? So know this thing clearly. Bank balance, money coming into your startup, and money going out. Calculate this. Like, what is your burn rate? Like, what is the monthly losses that you're having? Expenses minus revenue. And it's really common for startups to have losses at the very initial stage because you're acquiring customers, you need to put more efforts and everything. You'll have to keep that in track. What is the monthly dollars? Or how much are you earning more than you're spending, or you're spending more than you're earning? Keep all of those in track. What is the runway? What is runway? Time until funds are depleted. And growth rate, you'll have to see if the revenue increases over time or not. And how would you measure that if your startup is still alive or it died? So you can measure this thinking about whether you are profitable without additional investment or changes. So before you go into raising more funds or something, if you see that your startup is profitable, that means you're in default, you're alive. Then in terms of how to calculate the burn rate, as I mentioned, money going out minus money in. You can find the expenses. Let's say in July 2019, your expenses was 25K and your revenue is 10K. So your burn is 15K. Investors gonna ask in the later stage when you're raising money, like what is your burn rate, or how much have you burned? Then runaway, like number of months bank balance or average burn. Like let's say in July 2019, your bank balance was 150K, you burn 15K. So how long can you more survive? So runaway means like how many months your company can move forward with this kind of burn rate. So let's say if you're burning 15K per month, then the total balance you have in your bank may be 150K. So your startup can only survive for the next 10 months. At first, 150K, 200, 300K might seem big, but when you calculate these numbers, you will see how low time you have and how much growth you need to make inside of your startup. And growth rate. How do you calculate growth rate? Monthly money coming in and monthly money coming in month 1. So you'll have to calculate how much money you're being able to get from your product or service in some specific month, and what money could you get in the previous month, and then divide that with the previous month money in. Then you can find like the growth rate. Let's say in July 2019 your revenue is 10K, and then in August 2019 your revenue is 12K. So 12K minus 10K divided by 10K, so your growth rate is 20%. It's a really good growth rate. You should eye above like 30% of growth rate around that bar. So the questions you can ask, or things that you can see whether your startup is alive or not, is just a yes or no question. Is like, if expenses are constant or not. Is it yes or no? If the revenue growth continues, yes or no? Do you have enough cash to reach profitability? So even if you're burning, so a lot of you might have been thinking about, okay, why do we need to calculate burn? Because initially you'll be burning money, especially maybe in hiring and advertising or some other tools that your team needs or your startup needs. So that's why. So, but do you have that enough cash to reach profitability? If not, that's a great concern. Maybe you'll have to try to raise one more round, but that's also not preferred. Why? I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But keep these numbers and keep this default alive mode into your mind. Ask these questions every month and see where your startup is taking you. Because one more thing that you have to keep in mind, starting a startup is the easiest part. Keeping it alive is the hardest part. There has been thousands of startups that started, maybe even raised funds and then died. So just keep that, brace yourself, and this is the journey that maybe you haven't thought about. So pitfall number 2, not looking often enough. So you should look at your numbers every single week. When someone asks, you should know your numbers, whether investors, your teammates, your financial managers, if they ask you about the numbers, you should know about that. Don't keep it, oh, my accountant knows about it. Oh, my financial manager knows about it. If you're the CEO, if you're the managing, even if you don't know all the details, you need to know the numbers to the point that you're memorizing everything in your mind. You don't even have to like go through, okay, let me look into my laptop and see how it works. It will have to be your day-to-day life, like prayer. Like, okay, you're just kind of constantly reminding yourself, this is the number, this is how it works. Pitfall number 3, low expenses. Expenses in your startup will change over time. It's inevitable. So don't undervalue your own time, because you'll see hiring costs more than just salaries. So don't assume paid acquisition will stay the same. So maybe sometimes you are spending money into advertising this much, maybe in the next month it's going to increase, or maybe it's going to decrease. So you'll have to keep that in mind. Don't undervalue. You always have to think, okay, maybe the burn rate will increase. That's how you'll need to move forward. You'll have to move faster and try to get to the profitability stage. Don't ignore to make the runway look better. So don't ignore this kind of like all the other numbers, growth rate and everything, to make your runway look better. So whenever you're trying to raise Series A, maybe they're gonna ask, well, what's your runway? Maybe in numbers, maybe you can only survive for the next 5 months, but you're saying, oh, we can easily survive for the next 10 months, something like that, to show the value of your startup to the investors, which most of the time doesn't work. So that's why don't ignore these kind of like numbers. Number 4 is outsourcing. I think I talked about it earlier as well. Who is responsible for your numbers? Bookkeeper, accountant, CFO, CEO. Everyone is responsible for the numbers. everyone will have to know every single details. I mean, everyone might have different kind of roles, but they will have to know their required numbers so that whenever there's a crisis moment, you can just take actions based on that numbers. And I think I mentioned about hiring too quickly. This pitfall, scaling too quickly. You might think, oh, now I have established my company in Beijing. Now I wanna like expand into Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, like all the places. I wanna go global. Maybe you're trying to scale too quickly, and you might be really astonished to see that there has been a lot of companies who just died because they tried to scale too quickly. You can look into WeWork. WeWork was like, I think, $32 billion company. They expanded like crazy, and now they're out of business. They're bankrupt. So that's why keep that in mind. Scale slow but steadily. Like when you're hiring some new people, get the best people, make them stay, and then look forward into hiring more if you need in some specific areas. Because every hire is an investment. So think about, are you getting the return on investment? Calculate your ROI. Think about before they're joining in the company, your startup, what was the metrics, and after they joined in that specific area, what's the outcome? The best startups do more with less. And you can look into the story of Midjourney, Pika. You can look into it online. And I'm trying to cover a lot of the things in 2 hours. That's why I can give you all of the examples here, but you'll have to do the self-study. You'll have to see what's going on in the industry, how people raise money, how people fail. I mean, you can learn more about building a startup from the failure story than the success stories, because success is always sugar-coated. But you can see what the startups who made mistakes so that you don't make the same mistakes. You should avoid hiring until product market fit. So don't try to hire new employees until you find that product market fit. More employees do not help you to reach product market fit. It might give you more burden. So just keep that in mind. But once you find product market fit, try to look into the scopes where you were not being able to make more progress, but you need someone with more experience, you start hiring. Then pitfall number 6, which is raising while low. What does it mean? Letting the runway get too low before fundraising, which means that maybe you only have 3 months of money or 2 months of money to survive, and that's when you decided to raise money. That shouldn't be the case. Assume that you never raise money again. The seed stage money that you guys, all of you, will try to raise right now will help you to reach product market fit. But Series A and beyond will expect sustained growth. So your runaway gives you leverage. So once you raise that seed fund, then try to step forward, get the product market fit as soon as possible. Once you get product market fit, move forward, try to connect the VCs again, try to raise Series A. That's what most of the startups does. That's why they can survive. Because raising the initial fund is not the end of it. You might think, okay, once I raise $300,000, life is set, my startup is set, everything's gonna work. But that's where your journey starts. From there on, you'll have to keep striving. Maybe once you reach to Series C, Series D, when you have like a company with hundreds of employees, you have a established one, you have a board members, you have investors backing you up, then you can think about, no, now I can just slow myself down a little bit, give more responsibility, hire this and that. But until that time, it's all a rush game, a stressful game. So how to not run out of money? Always know your cash balance and runway. Understand how your expenses will grow over time. Focus on its employees' results, not just headcount. Like, don't just, okay, I have this employee, that employee. Okay, I needed this person for this department. I have this, it's done. No, count the results, not which department they're in. Have a clear plan to reach profitability, as we mentioned. Now comes the legal part. If you've done all the things right, but you're not complying with the legal compliances, you're screwed. So a lot of the common scenarios that you'll see is that startup founders like to incorporate their company or LLC in Delaware because in the US, because it's simple, preferred by public companies, and required by many investors. I'm not talking about all the case area. I'm talking about just in the US case. But this is just an example. There are also other ways, especially in other countries. You'll have to know legal requirements wherever you're trying to establish a company and use a reliable online platform. If you're in the US, consider Clarka or Stripe Atlas. From a board, appoint officers and adopt bylaws. You'll have to, when you establish a legal company, you'll have to have a legal lawyer who's going to take care of your legal responsibilities. Open account in a corporate bank, like open your business account and everything in a corporate bank, and make sure that follows under the legal compliances. The post incorporation. So once you incorporate your company, you have to issue stock. What I mean by issue stock, I mean, if you go public, that's a different thing. That's a long game. But once you establish your company, you'll have to allocate your shares. Like, okay, let's say as a founder, I own 50%, 60%, or 40%. My co-founders own this. My hourly employees will have 1%, 2%, something like that. Keep that in mind, and then keep all those numbers tied in. Then purchase. Whether they're like investors who purchase shares with their cash, like let's say some investor invested $300,000, $100,000, and then you're giving 7% of equity. Keep that also in the balance sheet. Then time-based vesting, as I mentioned, all the founders or even the early employees who you are giving share to, they will not just get it right away. They will get it within a 4-year period, and this is how it's going to work. Then cap table. I mean, it's a really common thing. If you just search cap table, it's a really famous term in the startup world. How much cap do you have? Like how much share you have in your company, each founder. Then after you incorporate a company, the thing that comes also into your mind is employment. So as a founder, how do you get paid? Do you get all the profits, or like how as a founder you are getting money from your startup? You'll have to keep in mind that as a startup founder, you are the employee of your company. You can think in this way, but you can definitely not think, okay, I'm the boss, I'm everything, this is my company, I can do whatever I want. As I mentioned, there should be a difference between a boss and a leader, because you'll have to think about, if you want to be that person that, okay, this is my company, I can make all the decisions, I can do whatever you want. That means you are going into the business route where you yourself invested all the money. There hasn't been any other co-founders involved, investors involved, because the moment others' money involved, it's not only your own thing, because others' money are depending on this part as well. So if you're, that's where the startup thing and business is different. Business are usually started from your own funds. Maybe you gather some funds together and you start a business. You are we have the full ownership. But as long as there are other ownerships, their opinion matters. And also, all of you are going to be part of the company as employees. Employment agreements, not necessary, but confidential information, invention assignment agreements like our NDA, keep all of those intact. You'll have to do all of those legal things. Avoid unpaid employees. I mean, a lot of the times you might think, okay, I have a startup now. I have raised funds, so I'll just offer free internships to students. I'm gonna get free labor. I mean, nothing is free. Maybe you're just taking it free. They're gonna be a burden for you, because believe it or not, money is a motivation for work. When you're hiring someone or you're giving someone an opportunity to come to your company, but if you're not paying them or if you're not supporting with their growth, they're just gonna come and go, maybe just as a big burden of your startup. So try to avoid those unpaid employees. Try to maintain the market standard. Then there are some common sense practice that you'll have to do from the very beginning of your startup. Act like a real company. Use the corporate bank account for all business expenses. No personal accounts involved. You can get into legal trouble. Keep receipts and track everything carefully. This is where if you have like if you're already incorporated, you can hire like a accountant as part of your company. Then taxes, which is really important. Franchise tax, IRS, payroll. This is part of in the US, but also every country has their own tax system. Keep legal documents organized and in one place, like a safe box. Now it's all digital, but make sure even if your computer dies, your whole system crashes, those information will be safe. Maybe you can keep it in a cloud-based software or something like that. Be board governed. Have a board once you raise fund that will make sure that you have everything correct. Tax paying, employing, and hold confidential information. And thing that you can do is think. As a founder, after you incorporate your company, after you have done everything right, the most amount of thing that you're going to do is thinking. Regularly think about what could kill your company. What are the adversities that can come to our way, and prepare for that early on. Prepare tools for that so that when that adversity is coming your way, your startup doesn't die. And believe it or not, if you believe that no adversity is going to come where you're moving in the most safest way, that means there's not enough demand for your startup and no one is trying to go for it. If you see there are like a lot of other competitors where they're coming in your own way or like trying to do it, that means there are demand. That's why you also need to become a beast. You need to work in a way, you need to create a culture that automatically kills the competition. Avoid doing things that could easily lead to its failure. And you'll understand this while you're working on it. What are the things that could easily lead to its failure? And I mentioned some of the other metrics that could kill your startup in the previous slides. Most likely, that can kill you is like a real risk that you need to avoid all costs. Even if you've done all the things right, but if you don't do legal things right, that can be an end. So before we wrap up this course, there are 3 final slides that I want to share with all of you guys. We have come to the very end. We don't have any more things left. Especially, I mean, we have our activities, but for lectures, this is gonna be end. So one quote that you can carry with you is that the competitor to be feared is one who never bothers about you at all, but goes on making his own business better all the time, by Henry Ford. I know, I especially I talked with, I mean, Mo, Chris. You guys might think about competitors, but this is the thing: you don't need to be feared about that. The thing that might bother you is the people who are building, who are not trying to like compete with you directly, but they're just building, trying to grow them as much as possible. They're gonna be a better business always. So you should be like that as well. You keep building. You focus on your own team growth. You focus on your own KPIs. That will drive you so far that it's untouchable for anyone else. Also, long-term success comes from strong core values and constant innovation. We need a big picture strategy and a rock solid foundation. Mission, vision, and values. These are going to be the drivers of your company. So have that strong core values and keep the constant innovation. Try to implement the things that the industry have never seen before. Try to innovate. The more you innovate, the more you can go further. Copycats can go to a certain extent, but if you want to be a company that lives for hundreds of years, you'll have to be the innovator in some ways. So I hope all of you get the chance to build a great company. That's why SGA is all about. That's why we created this thing. There has been a lot of adversaries when we first wanted to start it out. We wanted to start out in the Beijing in person, but our other mentor, he had to go through a lot of other stuff. We couldn't do it. We came this way, and during the whole summer, I've been traveling, but I was able to make time. And you guys, some of you were students working, doing thesis. Some of you are working, but you were able to make time. So I hope this thing pays off. I hope all of you get to build a great company with your own persistence, with your own work, and SGA is there to support you. If you don't, some way, which is most likely based on the data, I'm not talking about you guys, but a lot of the times it's likely for a startup to fail. But stay cool and remember the journey of entrepreneurship is more important than the outcome. And you might not be able to understand that while you're failing, you'll be able to understand after a few years. So always stay in that part. I think the information that you gathered from SGA, the things that you were able to learn, if you followed all the lectures, I know all of you who are here, who has been from the very beginning to this point, follow every single lecture, did the activities, did all the stuff, and believe in that. If you have done these things right, nothing will go to a waste. So, last homework for all of you guys. Make a pitch that looks perfect, like you are pitching to raise money. And that's what we're going to work on. I'm not going to let you guys go empty handed. I'm going to I'm going to help you to make the best pitch that can help you to raise money with all the experience and with all the resources. And design an equity allocation plan for your team and attach regions for the design. So after today and tomorrow, we have one more week. You can talk with your co-founders and see who's going to have what much of equity, because when you're going to apply for funds, they're going to ask you this question. You also saw when I showed you Miracle Plus application, they ask you which co-founder has which percent of equity. So have that allocation plan ready, and maybe have like a cliff mechanism that you can also sign a contract of like, okay, within the next 4 years, if you are staying with the team, you get this percent of equity. And some reading assignment. I know some of you really like reading books. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, all-time best. Biography of Elon Musk. This will give you huge work ethic. You can see how hard this person worked to become the richest person in the world. It doesn't come in the easy way. If you want to achieve something great, you'll have to do something that most of the other people are not willing to do. If you do the same thing that the other person are doing, you can be unique. So keep that in mind, and read one more thing about Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. This will also teach you a lot about entrepreneurship. So this is the book list. I think at some point some of you asked me, hey, do you have a book list? So yeah, I'm giving you this book list. If you can read all of these books, you will become not a lot more knowledgeable about the startup and how does work, what are the things that you need to keep in mind. 0 to 1, Hackers and Painters. I have given these books, the list of the books, one by one at the end of our every single lecture. So if you have followed that, if you have studied that, you have already made a huge progress. Congratulations. But if you haven't, keep this list and start reading. Reading is the key weapon that can differentiate you. Maybe a lot of other founders are only focusing on tools and everything, but keep some time every day, at least for 30 minutes, 1 hour for reading, because this reading is not just for pleasure, it's a reading for your future investment for your startup. Next, prepare for the demo day. Improve your pitch based on our feedback. Watch videos of successful founders and see how they pitch. Practice at least 20 times with timer before demo day and get familiar with your pitch. Learn how to pitch within 5 minutes. You had 7 minutes in the SG hackathon. Now you have to do within 5 minutes with the most important details, with the best way possible, and become confident with your pitch and sleep well. You'll have to stay healthy until the demo day at least, so that you are in the best shape to pitch. Now we'll move into Q&A. Everyone, you can open your camera, and if you have questions or anything, feel free to ask.
And do you offer office hours today?
Yeah. So as you know, we have an activity like about pitch from 2 p.m. But before that, from 12 to 2 p.m., I'm open to have office hours. So if you need to talk one-on-one, yeah, feel free to send me a message and we can schedule the time. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, no worries. Thanks to all of you as well. One more thing, we really need your feedback. So this is the final survey for the whole SGA cohort. This is for the alumni. So after the end of this whole cohort and demo day, you guys are gonna be our alumni. You're gonna be part of. So this is not the end of the journey for all of you with SGA. You're still gonna be in touch, and so that's why finish this survey. Take a screenshot. I'll probably also share in the group chat. Try to finish it by tomorrow. And tomorrow we will have like a form that would be mainly based on your pitch for the demo day, but this one is for the overall journey of your startup with SGA. Yeah, so that's it. Congratulations to all of you. And I will see all of you in demo day. And what I mean by that is that I have scheduled to go to Beijing. So currently I'm in Kunshan in my university, but on 14th of August, I'm going to Beijing. So if you guys are around in Beijing, I'll be able to meet with you for the first time in person. So I asked a question in the group chat. I don't know if you guys have seen it. So I also want to ask about that to all of you guys here right away. Are you guys are open to having like the demo day in person, or do you want to have it online? Because anyways, I'm gonna be going to Beijing, but if we want to have it one in person, then we could also invite our other mentor like Sohan and also some other investors in person, and then we can also invite other audiences. So not only you, but we're also gonna make it open for others to come and see your pitch, maybe talk with you, which happened, I think in your first cohort, we made it open for everyone to join and see all the things that we have made progress, all the startups that you guys made. And I think one investor from Hong Kong, they also came, and then I think they contacted with one of the startup, and I think they went into like raising some funds. So that's how usually it works. It's just people like, because investor always hidden investors, especially in China, it's more than anywhere else. A lot of people, they don't introduce themselves as investors, but maybe they're hidden. So they will just try to find these kind of opportunities and try to see founders. So yeah, if you guys are open, all of you, I mean, some of you might be not in China. You guys can still pitch online, but others who are in person, what do you think? Should we do it offline or keep it online? Yeah, I want to
Maybe
hear from
offline. Yes.
each one of you. Maybe start from, I can see my screen. It starts from Chris, Gul, Zainab. So yeah, I want to hear all of your opinions. What do you say, Chris?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you repeat the question? Sorry,
Okay.
I
So
was typing.
I was asking, should we have the demo day in person in Beijing or online?
Yeah, so for me, I'm in Beijing. Of course, I would love to be on site, also meet you, will be great. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, go.
Well,
Sure.
Okay. Zainab, I think you are not in China, so yeah.
so that's why I was saying I would prefer to be online since I'm not there.
I mean, obviously we're gonna have online because you might know like there are also some teams who who are part of like SGA Hackathon who are the top 5. So and they are not in Beijing. So I think 1 or 2 team will also present online. So yeah, Lisa, what do you think? I think you already joined the group chat, so I know you prefer in person. David, I think you and Saran, you guys are also in Beijing, right?
Yes, but on 16, I will not be in Beijing. So I prefer, however, I think Sarah will be in Beijing. So in case line, I can do online.
Okay. So I think Saran can come. So maybe you can maybe pitch online, and Saran will be in person there representing your team.
Yeah, I also prefer like in person. It's more fun and like we can interact more actively. But I am afraid like I have some visa issue and I will try to renew my visa from Beijing, but I don't think it will work. So if that's the case, then I have to go back my home country. Like for me, it's also a challenge. But in any case, if my visa got renewed like for some time, then I will be in Beijing and I would like to meet you guys in person.
Okay, sure. Ibrahim, think you are also here as well.
Yes, I'm also in Beijing, but maybe I will have to travel to go to Shanghai. But if I'll be in Beijing, yeah, I would like to do it face to face for sure.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you're sure about going to Shanghai or not, but yeah, let me know for surely, because if most of you are in Beijing, then probably we will do it in person. But if most of you are not in Beijing, then if that we arrange everything in person and then only one or two pitch is in person and the most of others are online, then it's also better for the audiences and also for other people to do it online. So yeah, Delight, what about you?
In person is fine.
Okay.
Online is also fine.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so who can join offline, just join in the group chat in the group note. Yeah, I also the other members, especially she's flying today, so that's why she couldn't join, but she would also prefer to join offline. But yeah, I would see how this works. So let me know by tomorrow, at the end of tomorrow, and then I will prepare based on that.
For today's office, are we going to do it?
Yeah, we have office hours from 12 to 2. So yeah, so I think Chris, they're gonna be first, and then if you also need to have office hour, also reach it to me. We will let you know the time. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So yeah, this is it for today. And this was the last lecture. Congratulations again. We have had 6 lectures and we have 2 activities. It's more than 8 weeks, and including the demo day, we will have 1 more week. So yeah, we're looking forward to all of you startup, and hopefully some of you who haven't launched, you'll be able to launch and have the best pitch ever. So yeah, looking forward to that. Okay. Bye bye. See you guys at 2 p.m. And by the way, prepare all of your slides that you prepared during the demo day, or if you've updated that one, because you will be again doing some sort of pitching, and based on that, with feedback, you're gonna in spot, you're gonna try to solve them and try to improve your pitch, and also keep your demo ready by 2 p.m. And then for the 2 hours, we're gonna work on everyone's pitch. Everyone will be able to see each other's improvement as well, so that we can get the feedback from each other as well. So it's going to be kind of like a discussion. So yeah, keep that in mind. And yeah, I'll see you at 2 p.m. And if you have office hours, send me a message. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya.